This is Terrence Banks with Information Age Financial Solutions, and coming to you about a serious conversation that I wanted to have, and something is just kind of a little bit of a rant, actually. It's the problem with a 70% consumption and what we base on as our normal reality as Americans. When you have an economy that's strictly based on you buying stuff and consuming things, the problems become astronomical over time. One, there's a financial immorality that's built into the cake. And what I mean by that is that I have to constantly get you to buy something and consume something for your economy to actually exist. 70% is ridiculous. And that's something that I just started realizing that the more I talk to individuals, especially for the work that I do. It allows people to be on credit cards and constantly never really learn from their making the mistakes. I've seen 85-year-old people take on $60,000 to $70,000 worth of credit card debts, and it's just strictly for just nothing. Stuff that just can be bought out over time or wasteless, useless products. Now, for the individuals utilizing credit cards for medical issues or different aspects like that, that makes sense. But for this particular basis that we have, it's strictly for them just to consume. I've seen what that generation is supposed to be prudent. It's not leaving anything next for the next generation. In fact, a lot of times that I'm seeing that clients coming in, that the children don't even know that the parents have this much money in credit card debts. Not to mention everything else that goes along with this. It creates a society that you're never satisfied. You want something more. You're constantly on a build basis, and companies will push things forward. We're over 1 trillion mark in terms of cars right now, in terms of people taking on buying car loans, and that's having its ripple effect because a lot of individuals that didn't supposed to have cars or would have had that demand coming in the future to be able to purchase to save up for that, it doesn't matter anymore. So now they bring that demand forward, and individuals who got a 20-year-old having access to a brand new car, and they can't afford it because over time, that processing of the money that they're making, if they find themselves losing their job or coming against a hiccup, or even the interest rate that they're applying these individuals to have, they can't afford it over time. But they know this, again, as long as you have a heartbeat, they'll put you inside the car. And that's part of this issue with a 70% consumption economy. The continuous growth model where you have to have more. So every quarter for each company that's actually producing out there, they'll do things to muddy up the waters and thinking that we got to get the next basis on this. That's the reason why that we had a build out of so many retail stores based on this idea that the last growth source, Americans were able to buy and continually buy. But that's just a false model when you're living in a finite existence and finite world. This time is overdue. This is not just a small correction that we're going to see. This is 45 years of basing your economy structure on people taking on debt, buying stuff, and continually do it further along. And we've reached our peak because it wasn't really based on individuals actually earning and producing something and then saving it something along all the lines for something in the future. They actually base it on how much debt I can put on this individual, and once they get into a situation, how can I pile on more debt? It's the only reason why you can see a $1.4 trillion student loan crisis, and the numbers go forward and so on. We have 8,500 retail stores closing, and these things become just monumental as you compile it as everything else goes over time. But it should have never gotten this way. There should have been some level of balance. There should have been some level of a slight correction. Now the corrections are becoming even worse. We had one in 2001, we had one in 2008, and we're overdue for the next one. Maybe usually it's on 8-year spans based on the numbers that I just told you there for the correction, but we've reached past that point. So the ills of 70% consumption economy even creates ideas where because you allow the individuals to take on so much debt, you got to keep interest rates artificially low. So you're even punished to save money. What kind of sense does that make? So this is kind of a rant, but just be mindful of, start thinking differently. Start thinking longer term. What do you want to have for your kids? Do you want to continually show them consumption is the only way to do things, or prepare for them for something for a later time when that will not be going forward? That will not be the existence that they're going to look forward to. This is Terrence Banks with Information Age Financial Solutions, just getting us to think differently. The problems with the 70% consumption out there is baked in the cake. It functions from financial immorality when you think about it as a whole, that your only gaze of our society is for you to consume further and not really prepare for anything for the longer term or for generational. You don't show anything of a good standing or good financial prudence by creating a society as a whole where all their basis of your economy is based on them to consume more. Terrence Banks, Information Age Financial Solutions. If this has been any help for you, any thoughts whatsoever, I want to hear back from you. Just leave a comment. Until my next video, I'm out.